July of 2016. I am in Minnesota at Cass Lake, Minnesota, and I am at a family reunion. At the family reunion, we have these old cabins that we stay in that they are not air conditioned. You have to rely on a floor fan to keep you cool. Um, it gets really humid there in the summers, muggy even with Minnesota heat, the thunderstorms and all else. And I'm noticing that there's something going on with my body, but I can't really pinpoint exactly what's going on. It just feels different. Um, and I noticed that I'm, losing energy and I'm a little more tired. So we hop on a plane after the family reunion is over and head back home. When we get home, we find out that our air conditioner here in Arizona has gone out and is not working. And we have no place to go. So we end up spending the night in the house without any air conditioning in the middle of the summer in Arizona. Lo and behold, a couple of weeks later, I noticed that my vision is changing and there's something going on with it. Can't really determine what it is. And we end up going to Costco. My mom brings me to Costco to get my eyes checked. Um, I have never driven. I have always had physical limitations, medical issues that got in the way of my being able to get my driver's license. So thankfully for that, because next thing I know, at Costco, they tell me that there's something seriously wrong with my eye and they need me to go to a specialist. And go to a specialist all the way in Peoria from Mesa on a Sunday and have my eye taken a look at. And they find that I have the beginnings of a detached retina. That's in my good eye. My left eye, I was born with amblyopia, which is also known as lazy eye. The muscles never fully developed. So I have limited vision in that eye at this time. And they end up having to do emergency surgery to repair the detached retina before it becomes a serious issue. Now, this is alarming because generally when something like that happens, that means that there's something underlying that's actually causing that to happen. So, next thing I know, the specialist, she puts in an order for a closed MRI, and I get the closed MRI, and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting for results, waiting and waiting and waiting for results. It takes forever. She's off on vacation in Colorado when I call and ask the, receptionist what's going on. And then, lo and behold, August 22nd, 2016, I receive a phone call from her. And she's off on her way to lunch, and in the middle of her having to go to her lunch and work, she calls me and she says, "Well, I just have to tell you that the diagnosis is multiple sclerosis." Not exactly the best way to find out that you have a debilitating disease that has no cure, but I got my answer. But with that answer came a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of unpredictability, a lot of concern. Inevitably considering, because here I was having issues with being able to stand and being able to see and being able to speak at times, and it just got worse from there. Over the next few months, I Ended up almost going blind. Um, would black out multiple times. Have issues with my speech. Literally would stop mid-sentence and lose my train of thought, inability to actually finish my sentence. There would be days where I would fall 7, 8 times, maybe even more. There would be times when I couldn't even hold my own pen or my own spoon or fork. And that was my battle. I did spend some time in a wheelchair. I did spend some time with a walker. I did spend some time with a cane. I did spend some days where I literally couldn't even get out of bed because my legs wouldn't work. So it was basically a wait and see how things are going to go and hope for the best. They actually did a lumbar puncture in addition to determine that multiple sclerosis was definitely the accurate diagnosis, to which unfortunately that was confirmed. There was some time where, I wasn't exhibiting the same symptoms or the same issues that a lot of people that have this do. But I also know that I have it. I don't want to. And I get annoyed with people that say that I'm doing this to myself. Never once did I do this to myself. Never once did I say, oh, I want that. It's not like you go to the store and you pick up something off the shelf and say, yeah, I want some multiple sclerosis. Thanks. No, it doesn't work that way. So please get that out of your heads until you actually walk the walk and understand exactly what goes on with it. I highly recommend that you step back from any judgments regarding it. It is a very difficult thing to have. There are children out there that have it. That's something else that people don't know. There are children out there that have multiple sclerosis. There are no definitive there's no boundaries with multiple sclerosis. It just chooses who it chooses. Doesn't matter what your age, your color, your religion, your ethnicity, your region that you live in. It doesn't matter any of that at all whatsoever. It happens to anyone and everyone, and it chooses who it chooses. And it's something that nobody should have to live with. You know, treatment can be extremely helpful. I was on methylprednisolone steroid infusions for, gosh, I want to say 5, 6 months. I was on the highest dosage possible to help me walk and see again, which I am grateful for. But those steroid infusions also destroyed my hormones, which I wish I had known previous to that it was important for me if I ever wanted to be a mother, that I could that I should freeze my eggs. That is a very emotional thing for me, which, I know that miracles can happen, and who knows, maybe someday I'll fall in love again. Maybe someday something great will happen from that, but, I am just being open and blunt about it because I'm sure there are people out there that are going through what I'm going through and have no idea. And I'd rather that people know so that maybe, just maybe, they have a different outcome than I did. So all that being said, I started Copaxone for a while, but I didn't have the greatest reaction to that, so I had to stop that. It was a very rare reaction. Um, but I'm lucky to be alive. And then after that, I started a Baggio, which I didn't have the greatest time with that either. I have issues with medications most of the time because I'm just that sensitive. Most people will not have the reactions that I do. And that is something that I have learned with a 2017 diagnosis of a gene mutation that I have that contributes to my inability to have good relationships with medications. Um, anyhow, fast forward to now. I had a fall on February 12th, and they're trying to determine what the culprit was of that because of the symptoms that happened with that fall. Um, so I'm exploring things with my neurologist, as well as my cardiologist, as well as my primary care physician. And I have my suspicions, but they have to explore things to do things in the logical aspect of things. And that's the way that it's got to be, because you know how modern medicine is. But that being said, I'm just waiting things out, and I may look like I'm fine on the outside. I may look like I'm healthy and I'm feeling better, but I am not. I am not where I need to be. I have to take this month to try and heal and to work on feeling better as much as I can. I barely sleep. Um, there have been times where I've only slept 1 hour. There are times when I have had very little sleep and difficulties with functioning the next day like I am right now. Even though I seem to be perfectly fine, I'm still having a difficult time. It just doesn't show because I'm just that strong. Um, my entire life, I have always been one to rise above, and I will continue to be that. I will continue to be that because that is the way that I am. And I am grateful for every day because every day is a blessing and I have no complaints, none. So, that being said, I hope that this has been educational to some extent. Maybe it will help somebody else out there. Um, just an FYI, I'm going to go over some of the issues that people with multiple sclerosis have and that not everybody is aware of. So, difficulties with being able to retain information. Um, say somebody says something and then 5 minutes later you ask them to repeat it again. 10 minutes you ask them to repeat that again. That is actually in sync with multiple sclerosis. I have difficulties retaining information, and it can be the littlest thing, but I will literally forget. Pins and needles sensation in your limbs, say your arm, your legs, your foot. That's another symptom. Feeling dizzy, that's another symptom. Having difficulties with thinking, that's another symptom. Balance. Balance is a huge one. If you find that you're clumsy and there's really no way of understanding why you're so clumsy all the time, it could be possible that you might have that and you don't realize that you have that, or something else that could potentially be contributing. I get words mixed up a lot, which is really frustrating because I'm very smart and it's taken me years to actually say that because of all the abuse that I went through when I was younger. But that being said, I don't like that I bring out the wrong word when I'm speaking, and that's something that's very embarrassing to me. But that is something that does happen with multiple sclerosis a lot too. Even like saying the wrong name when we mean to um, say we're trying to address Steve and instead we say Sam, which is really not fun. um, oh, um, Another one is like when you get like a numbness in the face too, which some people do and some people don't, but that's something that I dealt with as well. Difficulties swallowing, um, sometimes difficulties with breathing, even. So, it's one of those things where you gotta look it up and research it and see if it resonates and go from there. It's the pain associated with multiple sclerosis is incomparable to any other physical pain. I can't even tell you the extent of the like how high the pain is with this. Um it's like somebody drops a brick on your foot times 100 at times. Literally, it's like, and that's the other thing is that migraines, headaches, that's a common issue too. You know, March is Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month. And there's a lot of people out there that are undiagnosed still and don't even realize that they have this condition. So if I can educate you, if I can help you to be able to put two and two together, then hallelujah. I'm glad that I'm able to give you some kind of an, idea of what needs to be explored potentially. The only way that you can diagnose multiple sclerosis again is through a closed MRI, which I highly recommend that you ask for an open machine. I am claustrophobic, and the first time that I had it, oh my gosh, that was insane. And I would never, ever, ever go through that again because that was just too much for me to deal with. So, a closed MRI and a lumbar puncture. The lumbar puncture is not fun either, but it was definitely necessary because that just confirmed everything. Um, so I just hope that this is helpful. Thank you for your time and take care of yourself.